You're watching Experience Comic Culture and Sales, streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
Hey everybody, I know Jay's doing the cold open. We're going to see how this is going to go. Kyle's not going to be here tonight. He has his mandated every couple of years one night off. But don't worry, we got a comic expert in the background to kind of counterbalance my rambling. So hope you're ready, folks. This is in stores this week. What's going on, Mr. Dan?
How you doing?
Pretty good.
All right. I like to go by Dan, period.
That's, I've been seeing that a lot lately, and I was going to ask you, is that because of it being Dan? Yes. That is awesome.
Yeah, I figure I'll leave it there until Kyle actually fixes that.
And I've been meaning to talk to him about not only that, but your intro for the damn Wickline show. I wish it would be a little bit wider again.
Yep.
But we'll give Kyle a break since, like I said, he only gets one day off every couple years. So
yeah, and how did we let that happen?
Maybe it's a contract thing. I don't know.
Someone's got to pay closer attention.
Yeah. But it's all right. You and I, we're gonna go through this. We're gonna have a good time like always.
Absolutely.
All right.
Let's fire it up. See what we got this week.
Okay, so the first one I want to talk about is Armorclads number 4 from Valiant. And I'll go ahead and start this one off.
All right.
Finally, an action-packed issue. I've been saying it the last couple times. The first 3 issues just felt like walking to one place, little bitty fight, walking to another place. This one, the action starts pretty quickly in it. This is still a solid story to me, and I did notice that the next one is supposed to be the finale. I'm really hoping that we get some questions answered. Like, how is this connected to the bigger Valiant universe? Because I haven't really seen any indication that it is. Will the Rogue Ironclads team up with the Legionnaires to take on the? I don't remember what the main group is called. Will the character Paris bond with this weapon? What is this weapon? I know the governor tells us what it is, but I don't feel like we're getting the whole story of what it is. And I have a prediction that the weapon is what's going to connect it to the bigger Valiant universe, or I could be completely wrong, and this is its own self-contained universe. But what do you think, Dan?
Well, Armorclads is part of the Valiant universe from before. So they're bringing the title back. This is the first time they've done it since the relaunch.
Oh.
But it was part of the 90s version of Valiant. So it is a title that's been in the past. I agree that it seems kind of weird that it's outside of the Valiant universe, or at least it appears to be. So it's possible that somehow the team ends up on Earth at the end of this, or somehow better connected. I hadn't read issue 3 because when it came up in review, I actually had taken that night off, like I've done a lot lately. But so I read 3 and 4, and together they make. I mean, it does make a pretty solid story. I'm enjoying it, but yeah, it does feel completely disconnected from everything else Valiant. So I'm curious to see how it's going to fit in. It does seem a little predictable, though, that that there's supposed to be X number of lost armor, whatnot, that the armor clads or the team that's trying to find him are going to end up running those armors. that type of thing.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize we're only one episode away from the finale, or that it's the finale. So I'm kind of curious, hey, see how this is going to wrap up too. But I am enjoying the series. So
yeah, it like I said, there Valiant. There's only been one miss for me, and that was the new Ninjak, and that was only from an art perspective.
yeah.
Most of the time, Valiant really hits home with me in most of their books. So yeah, pretty good read. Pretty good
Yeah.
read. Excited for the next issue.
Before we jump on the other one, have you noticed? Have you seen Valiant is made a deal with 3-0 to do the first 12-inch or 6-scale figure? There and it's Bloodshot. Yeah. And the nice thing is that while you see I've got all the Hot Toys up there, it is about half. Well, God, it's not even a quarter of the price of one of those. It came in about $70 for the pre-order.
Oh wow!
We're not supposed to talk price, I know, but it's quite a bit cheaper. And I've ordered it because I thought it looked really good, and I'm curious. I don't have any 3-0 stuff, so I was curious. Plus, they're supposed to do a Ninjak and stuff like that going on. So if they're going to be high quality, and this one looks good, and it looks like the comic version. It doesn't look like Vin Diesel.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I jumped on that, and I'm curious to see. It's not going to ship until later this year, but the pre-orders are now. So if you are a Valiant fan and a 6-scale figure fan, you might want to check that out.
Yeah, it's so weird to me. Just real quick before we get on with Valiant, I would have figured by now there would be toys everywhere. We'd have more movies. We'd have more shows.
Yeah.
It's just strange.
Yep. It's like I think all I've seen so far is the one McFarlane figure of the Vin Diesel version of Bloodshot and a couple mini-mates that they have.
Yeah, I think Funko Pop Asia had a Faith at one time, but that was about it. Anyway, so on to the next book, and this is one of my tops for this week. Elvira in Horrorland #2 from Dynamite. And let me just say this. First and foremost, Nick, please do not stop sending this to us. This is one of my favorite reads. It's such a blast. Like I said, this has been one of my favorite Dynamite titles that we've been getting. The story, the humor, the pop culture references, the fourth wall breaking, all of it has just been so great. And you know, there's parts of it that should be cheesy and I shouldn't laugh at, but it's Elvira being scared by the title cards, not once but twice.
Yeah.
And you know, and just because she's there, just all hell breaks loose. There's people referencing characters that they play in different movies. You know, it just everything goes sideways as soon as the story starts. And you know, the story is really strong for me, and I hope they keep making this until I just get sick of it, which I don't see that happening, you know, anytime soon. And I'm ready for her next out of this world adventure.
Yeah, David Avalon is nailing this. I mean, he has got the references, the cheesy Elvira humor. He's got all of that down. But this is not only a love letter to The Shining. So if you've seen The Shining, this is so up your alley because this is so many references to it, and just over and over. But also, it becomes a Jack Nicholson love letter. You know, referencing just about every movie you can think of, and it is a lot of fun. I mean, it is silly fun, and it's unlike anything else on the shelves right now.
Dan meant, what did they call him? Nick Jackelson?
Yeah.
Just such a great read, man. Really love it. All right, up next, we have one that I was kind of on, but I'm really starting to come around, and that is going to be John Carter of Mars #3, another Dynamite title. This was not a bad issue at all. Like, this one is starting to pull me in. Not to say that I thought the first 2 issues were bad, but I'm very much you get 3 issues. You know, if the first one is kind of I'll try the second one. The second one's I'll try the third one. If after the third one you don't get me, I'm probably not going to be interested in the book anymore. But this one was like, okay, I'm with you now. There's just something about this one, and I don't know if it's because of the dual story that's being told in it, but there's something about how it was told that I really enjoyed, and it made me actually like, man, I want to read this next issue now because I want to find out. I want these stories to collide.
Yeah.
You know, and there's 2 things after reading this that I thought. First and foremost, I need to watch John Carter again because I really enjoyed that movie, and it's been a while since I've seen it. And also, I don't think that a Disney Plus series would be that terrible of an idea for a property like this. Instead of trying to do another movie, maybe start with a series. But I enjoyed this issue.
I enjoyed it more than the first 2, like you. I'm still having a hard time with the art. It's not the art that feels right for me for John Carter.
Yeah.
And it's not to say it's bad art. It's just sometimes the art doesn't feel right for the story. It's the same thing like you earlier mentioned the Ninjak story. There was nothing wrong with the art. It just didn't work for us for the Ninjak story. Well, that's what's got me here, and that's what keeps me from really digging into it. But it is a good story, and it's getting better. But yeah, it's not an area that's ever been dealt with in John Carter. You know, it feels a little disconnected from the other series. Like someone came in, they went, well, we're not going to worry about what you've done before. This is the story idea we've got. Which is fine. They can do that. But, you know, it's not quite hitting home for me yet. So we'll see. I have to see where it goes from here.
Okay. So this next one. Let me just go ahead and pull this one up. This one, The Lonesome Hunters #1 from Dark Horse. Now, the story is cool, and I like the watercolor kind of art that's in it.
Yeah.
But I feel like I missed something. And this is a #1. This one really just drops you right in it. And I think this is going to be one of those stories where either they're going to fill in the gaps in the coming issues, or the writer's going to, I'm not going to hold your hand, fill in the blanks yourself kind of book. And, you know, you better be ready to dive into this head first because, you know, I'm not going to give you anything. You drop into this book starts, it hits the ground running. And this is one of those where it felt like as soon as I got past the first couple panels, I was done with the book. Like, it read very fast for me. It was I was into the story. But I do feel that if we would have gotten any other issue but a #1, I would have been lost completely. I would have felt like I missed a tremendous chunk of story. But it's really good, and I'm really excited to see where it leads.
This is written, drawn. This is basically it's a one-man show. And it's impressive as hell from that point of view. The artwork is unique. It's moody. It sets its own tone. The issue is a hell of a lot of setup with almost no explanation. Yet by the time you get to the end, you're going, well, what the hell happened? And not, I don't want to read this anymore. What the hell's going to happen next?
Yeah, exactly.
So I think he did a remarkable job in that, is that he's definitely telling the story he wants to tell. He's not pandering to the audience. He's giving you the information he thinks you need. And it's worked on both of us. We both want to know what's happening next. And he gave you very little. And basically, there's an old guy with a magic sword, and there's a young girl with a pocket watch. Oh, and there's a demon bird.
Yeah, that's it. There you go.
Yep. Come back next issue. We'll tell you more.
Exactly.
And as absurd as that sounds, there's so much mood and gravitas in it that you really kind of get hooked into it. So, you find out the guy gets the sword early on. He didn't use it properly and kept it in a cigar box. And that's pretty much, I pretty much gave you the book. So,
Yeah.
But you should read it because it's really cool.
Yeah.
But what the hell?
Yeah, exactly. That's my whole thought reading this thing. Like, man, how can it be so good and I don't understand what's happening?
Exactly.
Really, really good. All right, now I'm going to go to one this is one of those, this is my first time reading anything from it, and that would be Usagi Yojimbo, Lone Goat and Kid.
Yes.
Now, obviously, or maybe not obvious to some, but obvious to me, this is a Lone Wolf and Cub reference. I don't know if you've ever read any Lone Wolf and Cub or...
I watched The Mandalorian, same thing.
Yeah, pretty much. Like I said, this is my first time reading it, though I've heard of the character. I could swear, and it might just be a Mandela effect thing, I could swear that somehow this connected with Ninja Turtles. I don't know why. I don't know why I remember some kind of bunny being on Ninja Turtles, and I thought it was the same one. I could be completely off, which I probably am.
Mm-hmm.
But this was a really cool book. This read for me like an old dubbed samurai movie. And man, it was so good and surprising. Like, given the art style, I wasn't expecting it to be as violent as it was. I mean, it's not overly, over the top gore or anything, but it felt like reading a comic strip out of a newspaper. And I just didn't expect some of the things that happened. And, even this being in issue 6, I didn't feel lost because this felt like it was just its own little standalone story. You didn't need to read 8 million other issues to find, things out. Man, this is definitely a series that I can get into, though. This was really, really good and surprising. It's really good.
Stan Sakai is basically the comic book version of Akira Kurosawa. And I don't say that lightly. I mean, I literally mean it. When you read Usagi Yojimbo, he is telling these amazing samurai stories. And he's doing it with this really easy, laid-back art. Usagi Yojimbo is his Ronin, his character, but he takes the time to do this, Lone Goat and Kid story that is basically, another samurai turned assassin. It's very much the same thing as The Mandalorian right now. Kid is Grogu, except for his pram is armed quite well.
Yeah.
And this is probably the last episode of the series. and you have the big showdown between Lone Goat and Yojimbo. And it's brilliant. It is absolutely brilliant. And Stan does this regularly. That's his thing. He does these great samurai stories that you want to read, you look forward to, and this is no doubt right up there. So, I mean, Stan doesn't disappoint. He is consistent. He is brilliant, and I love it. So, before we jump to the next book, let's go ahead and remind you guys, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. They're probably somewhere down here. Or if you're on Facebook, the thumbs up. If you're on Twitch, do what thing you got to do on Twitch. I don't know what it is. Yeah, I'm old. It's like TikTok. I don't know what TikTok is. But if you could do those things, it would be greatly appreciated. And let's go ahead and bump into a commercial, and we'll be right back with more books right after this.
Did you know that every experience show, including some exclusive content, streams on Twitch? Check it out, twitch.tv/the_EXP. Or just scan that QR code. Get the inside scoop on everything happening at the experience every week. Join our mailing list by scanning the QR code at the bottom of the screen and then watching your email inbox. I never realized until watching those commercials just how much Kyle sounds like a sidekick. And just listen to them. Gee golly, did you guys realize everything we do here on The Experience also appears on Twitch?
And then you got JD with that $1 million voice.
Oh yeah. JD's cool. John might be a ghost. Has anybody seen him leave? By the way, I love that commercial.
Yeah.
And the fact that John's got mutton chops just helps make it seem like he's out of the 1850s,
That one and the one with AR, they're both hilarious.
Yeah.
All right, so next book we got.
All right.
Boom. This one is The Wrong Earth Confidence Men one shot from Ahoy Comics.
Speaking of sidekicks.
Yeah. Always, when it comes to Ahoy Comics, I had a good time reading it. I really like the mirrored story that's going on here with the bouncing back and forth between the universes. The jerk level between Dragonfly Man and Dragonfly is just astronomical.
Yeah. One
doesn't like his ward speaking bad of himself, while the other one just beats the brakes off of his. I'm a little bummed this is only a one-shot, though, because I'd love to see where the paths of these sidekicks go, because I have a feeling that the one from, the Stinger from Earth Alpha would go like the Nightwing kind of route, and the one from Earth Omega would definitely be like a Red Hood or like a Punisher kind of vigilante. Super good story. I always enjoy the books we get from Ahoy, whether it be the ridiculous ones that we've been reading lately or things like Guilt or things like this. They always have some quality books.
Yeah, I always look at these as post-crisis, pre-crisis. You know, the Golly Gee Batman family books versus the Dark Knight Returns. You know, and that's pretty much what they are. Is they give you the same character, just those two versions. You know, the dark and gritty and the light and fun. And they do a good job of it. And it's regardless of who they bring in to write them, they're always just a lot of fun. So, but Ahoy does that. I mean, that's the whole thing. Is I think their thing is that, well, is the book fun? Then we can publish it. Would they publish The Lonesome Hunter? Probably not.
No. Might be a little much for them.
Yeah. But it's a fun book, and if you guys haven't checked it out, you should give it a shot.
Yeah.
It's a good one to jump in on.
Yeah, most of these Wrong Earth ones have been pretty good so far. I've enjoyed them. But yeah. So now I want to talk about a book that I'm not going to be any help on whatsoever, and that is We Only Find Them When They're Dead, issue 11. So issue 11, what an awesome place to drop in at.
I pulled this book because it's the start of a new arc. So I thought, should be a good jumping on point. And it took me a while to realize that we only find them when they're dead. They're referring to gods. They only find the gods when they're dead. And what they're trying to do is, I guess, certain humans have this ability to become gods. They cannot figure out why it is or duplicate it. So they're trying to find a live god to figure it out. And they've created this artificial intelligence and put it inside this body to try to find one of these live gods. And I guess this is an intelligence that they've built off of a living person, but it's been growing, and this is like the ninth version?
I think it said 9th.
Yeah. Other than that, I can't tell you much about the book, and I read it.
I read it, and I was like, man, I bet if I knew even the smallest amount of backstory on this, I'd probably like it. I mean, it's got great art. It's a beautiful story.
Great art, beautiful story, well written, but I this is one of those that I don't think even a new arc is a good place to jump in on. You might want to go back and read earlier issues if you can find them first. So, but, you know, check it out. Maybe it'll make sense to you guys. And then you could come on our show and tell us about it.
Yes. And as a matter of fact, I think that Sean has got the first couple issues of this, and I might just borrow them from him just so I can figure it out. Because like I said, reading it, I'm like, man, you know, if I understood more of this, I'd probably like it. I like it, but didn't really understand.
Yeah, I mean, there's enough there that makes you want to go, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah.
But 10 episodes worth? Or to go back 10 issues? Maybe.
Yeah. Alrighty. So we got something that you and I jumped in on at the same time. That would be Something is Killing the Children. This is issue number 24 from Boom Studios.
Yes.
First, I got to say, and it's going to be a spoiler, a monster. Right off the bat. That's what I've been waiting to see. I've enjoyed the story so far, but I'm like, man, I could have sworn that there's supposed to be like monsters in these books somewhere. Now it's real brief, real quick. It's at the beginning. They do what I feel is like a cold open for the comics. So they set up this little bitty thing, and then they do their break with the title and everything. But after we see this, I actually kind of have a review on this, not just what I liked about it. Gabby, who was the character in the first issue that we read, whose family was killed, she goes back to her house, and while she's there looking around, she finds this talking stuffed octopus. And I think it's an ally of Erica Slaughter's. I remember Sean and Jenna talking about this character, but I don't really remember. Then we cut to, I want to say her name is Ricky. I think that's how you pronounce it. And Erica at the bar that Ricky works at. And Ricky starts asking the tough questions. And Erica really can't back them up. So Ricky kind of figures out, hey, you're not who you say you are. And, we end the issue with, and I'm going to just call this guy Gold Mask because I didn't catch the person's name. But Gold Mask is talking to Cutter. And Cutter is a character that we met in the previous issue at the very end. And they're talking about Erica. And this is a character that not only do I really want to learn a little bit more about Erica, but I really want to learn a bit more about Cutter. Because the way that she speaks of herself and how the other people in this house speak about her, she's pretty dangerous. And they only need her, is what she tells Golden Mask, So I really just have to stop procrastinating and go read. I mean, this was easy enough to jump on, but I'm thinking to myself, if I enjoy this from just like the middle, I wonder how much I would actually enjoy the first part of this arc. Because, I mean, this right here has just been so good. This was our first time jumping onto it, and I didn't really feel lost about anything.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the story so far.
Now, the little squid guy, all of the hunters in this series have a pet stuffed animal that seems to have a demon in them. And that's their guide. So I don't know if that's Erica's guide or if that means that Gabby now has a guide and is going to follow that path.
Interesting.
I don't know enough about. I don't know what Erica's guide looks like, so I'm confused on that. But other than that, it's a good read, and I'm enjoying this. But yeah, I'm with you. It's almost time for me to go back and reread. Yeah. Or to read. I haven't read the first 19 issues or whatever it was that came before this. And that's another big order, but this one really feels like it's worth it.
Yeah, it really does. Like, as much as I hear people all the time rant and rave, and I won't say the prices, but the prices of trying to get the first couple issues.
Trades,
exactly.
Trades or Comixology.
Exactly. Now, I believe this is actually our last one.
Really?
And for me, I believe I saved the best for last. And I can't believe I'm saying that. But it is Samurai SONJA #1 from Dynamite. Okay. So at first, I was like, awesome. Another Red Sonja book to try to keep up with. Whether it be Red Sonja, Immortal Red Sonja, Red Sitha, what have you. Was I ever wrong with this one? The art, the story, the badassness of the character, the panels that they had no dialogue, but they just let the visuals speak for themselves. this right here has been my favorite read anything that we've read so far. And once again, Nick, please more of this. I enjoyed this book so much. I'm not sure if it's because it's the feudal Japan thing or what, but there was something about the story. I was like, this kind of eked out Elvira being my favorite read this week.
I'm not as strong on it as you are. I have a hard time feeling how this connects to Red Sonja. It feels like, we'll just slap Sonja's name on there. So from that, it's an interesting story, but it's also a lot of setup, and it feels a little rushed. You know, we didn't get a lot of time knowing who she is, her backstory. We just kind of get pushed through to, her meeting her goddess. And so I really need to see where this is going. It's an interesting first issue, and it could be spectacular. But I just feel like there needs to be a little more meat on the bone. And again, just slapping the name Sonja on there feels a little weird to me.
They definitely could have called this something else.
Yeah. So for me, it's a wait and see. It's a good issue to pick up. Like I said, it could be an amazing story, but that's where I am on it.
I can completely get that. Like I said, it kind of feels like, I guess for me, because there's, what is it? It's Immortal Red Sonja, Invincible Red Sonja, Red Sitha. Now you have Samurai Sonja. Sometimes it just feels like overload for me. But I'm like, to be honest, if I just stuck with this one, this would be, if I could just pick one, this would actually be the one that I stick with.
For me, it would be the Immortal, the one where she's got the shirt on, she can't take off, the chainmail shirt.
Where the chainmail's cursed and the sword's cursed?
Yeah.
I think that one is. I don't know. I always get mixed up between the two.
Yeah, that's the one that would get it right now is my favorite. But then I'm a King Arthur fan, so.
Oh yeah, last week Dan and I, you weren't here. Kyle and I talked about the Arthurian tale that's in that one did make me like it a bit more than I had been. Like I was like, the quest. There's something about swords and sorcery where I'm like, man, give me a quest. Let me follow this person on a quest.
Yeah.
And that one is like, okay, cool. Yeah, it was a pretty light week this week, but
yeah, we had 9 books.
But I didn't really have a dud. It was just the we only find them when we're dead was the only one that I was kind of. But for everything else, I mean, solid reads for me. Did you happen to have a favorite, Dan?
Good question. I don't know if any really stood out among the others. Probably Elvira. The humor and stuff on it was up there. But all of them were good. There's no book that I went, God, why did I have to read that? So for me, that's a good week. Yeah. But I've also been, I picked up, since we got a little time, there's a new set of Penguin Classic Marvel collections came out this week. And there's a Captain America, a Spider-Man, and a Black Panther. And they look at kind of the early days With the Captain America, they focus a lot on Jack Kirby's run on the character early on with when he first did it for Timely. Then when they brought him back, the Tales of Astonish episodes he was in, and then when Jim Steranko took over. The Black Panther does a couple of the early issues. They don't really get into the Jack Kirby run when Black Panther had his own book, but they do a lot on the Don McGregor Jungle Action series with Rich Buckler. And the Spider-Man one I haven't really cracked into yet, but these are nice, thick books. There's a lot of extra material that breaks down what was going on at the time they were created. You know, they talk about the Captain America one I've probably spent more time with, and the fact that in a lot of ways Captain America was created to get people's attention about the coming Nazi threat. Because when they put Hitler on the cover being punched, that wasn't a for sure thing. We weren't at war. Pearl Harbor hadn't happened. And a lot of Americans were either isolationists, not wanting to get involved, and there was a good number who actually thought that Hitler was right. So what it did was those Captain America comics focused on the threat Nazis could be to America, how they could try to infiltrate and sabotage and stuff like that. So none of them were Captain America going overseas. He was dealing with Nazis here in the U.S. And it was basically an anti-isolationist comic for the first year before Pearl Harbor happened. And Simon and Kirby were off the book before the war even happened, because they went into the war. So, you know, that's something to remember too. And they tried to keep it going for a long time by, you know, what the Captain America we got at that point was violent, was unafraid to kill, you know, let people die or kill people. And just, you know, they tried to relaunch him in the 50s in the same mode, and they called him the Commie Smasher. And that didn't work at all. Sales were horrible. I think it lasted 3 issues. So when Stan decided, let's bring Captain America back in the Avengers, that's why they pretty much ignored the 1950s. That's why suddenly Cap has this super convoluted history where, you know, he's Steve Rogers, and suddenly he's Jeffrey Mace, and he's another guy. And then there's a whole William something or other, completely different character in the 50s. That's why there's so many different Captain Americas suddenly, because where they wanted Cap to leave off with Bucky's disappearance and stuff was basically when the book stopped selling well. You know, and they wanted a more sympathetic Captain America. So that was all post decisions and retconning and stuff to make it work. But you get all that out of this book, and it's pretty fascinating. And they're neat collections. There's hardcover and soft covers. They're available on Amazon and at your local bookstores and comic shops. So you might want to check those out. They're really good. They're the Penguin Classic Marvel collections. There's just those 3 so far, but I have a feeling there will be more.
Who is a character you'd like to see them do that with?
Doctor Strange.
Nice. You know, I again, I might be misremembering, but I could swear that there was like a made-for-TV Doctor Strange movie.
Yeah.
There
In the
was?
70s with Peter Hooton as Doctor Strange.
There you go. I knew.
You can find it on YouTube and watch it. I've watched it probably within the last year or so. And there's actually some decent stuff in it, but it's pretty hokey.
But well, then again, I've watched that. When the Incredible Hulk had their made for TV movies, I watched them. The Captain America made for TV movies that were not that great, but had Ned Beatty in the first one.
Yep. Oh yeah, I remember those. But I grew up on those. I was that age. I was, in 77, I was 7. So Captain America's on TV. I'm watching it.
Yeah.
The fact that he has a plexiglass shield and a motorcycle helmet doesn't matter. It's Cap.
Mm-hmm.
The fact they cast Rex Harrison as Daredevil, I'm watching.
I missed when I was a kid. Of course, mine were reruns for most of this stuff because child of the '80s. But I loved watching that stuff as a kid, and even as an adult, I can go back and watch it. I don't care how campy and hokey it is. It's that nostalgia feeling, but in a good way.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, there's also there's another movie that came out. Trying to remember the name of it. It was a Jeffrey Combs movie that I think it's like Modred or something like that. And it was basically a Doctor Strange movie that they were going to do, and then they lost the rights to it. So they made it under this other made-up name. But it's the same type of thing. And it comes across like, yeah, you're just doing Doctor Strange.
Isn't that something like they did that? They made that really terrible Fantastic Four movie just to keep the rights or something to it.
Yeah, Richard Corbin. They had Richard Corbin throw a movie together in like no time simply to hang on to the rights of the Fantastic Four.
And the only reason that I remember that is because the actor from Not Quite Human, the Not Quite Human movies, was Johnny Storm. And I was a big fan of his as a kid. I loved those movies.
Yeah.
So weird times back then. Weird times.
Oh, yeah. To think about what we would watch because it's all we had compared to now. Like tonight, Doctor Strange drops on Disney Plus.
Mm-hmm.
It was just in theaters. It made a fortune. And, the biggest box office movies are Marvel movies,
They are. We have Disney Plus, and I love watching the new stuff, but I find myself watching Gargoyles and Darkwing Duck and the original DuckTales and stuff like that most of the time while I'm waiting for, the weeks to go by so I can just binge all the new shows.
Yep.
Just so much stuff to watch.
Oh, yeah.
So much. The Boys, you got stuff on Hulu, you got stuff everywhere. They're just almost feels like overkill with a lot of things.
Sometimes it does. So we'll reach saturation point eventually.
Yeah.
But I don't think it'll be anytime soon.
No. But I want to say people were saying 4 or 5 years ago that comic book movies were going to be over and done with, and they're still getting pumped out.
Well, I think that's because genres are cyclical. So horror movies are big and then they go away. Westerns get big and then they go away. The thing is that superhero movies aren't necessarily a genre, because you look at Doctor Strange and it's a horror movie. You look at Miss Marvel and it's basically a John Huston kids thing, a teens thing. You look at Moon Knight, that's completely different than, and that's the thing, is that Marvel keeps reinventing itself with different types of shows. So as long as they keep doing that, I think they can keep the cycle going longer than you would for just a normal genre. Because superheroes are more like cops. And cops movies never really go out of fashion, or legal dramas or whatever, you know, because you get stuff like Training Day and Police Academy.
Wow. Talk about totally different ends of the spectrum.
But they're both cop shows.
That's right.
So, and that's what you get with superheroes. It's like, you know, The Boys and Moon Knight.
Yeah.
All right, I think we filled enough.
All righty. Well, as always, Dan, it's a pleasure. I always enjoy. I appreciate the fact that you guys let me keep coming on here every week with y'all. It's a fun time, man. I enjoy it.
Well, we enjoy having you, man. You do a good job. And also, we would never be able to get a night off if you weren't here. So,
well, all righty, folks. We're going to end it here. Again, make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Click that bell for notifications. I don't know, like Dan said earlier, I don't know what you do on the other platforms, but if there's something to do there, go ahead and do that. And we'll catch you next week on In Stores This Week. Have a good night.
good night, everybody.
Join the party. Head over to our link tree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.